streaming devices, they have channels that offer relaxing scenes. So that can also be something that you can do. And of course, things like massage can help. Again, those are they can be more involved to do, and they may take time, that you might not have in the immediacy of something, but it's certainly something that can continue to support relaxation response in you. So things like massage, if you can get a massage, trained massage therapist to help you, exercise like yoga or walking or running, playing music, dancing, doing artwork, walking, all of these things are ways of triggering that relaxation response that you need to counteract the effects of what happens when the stress response kicks in. So you should try whatever appeals to you and see what works best in your situation. And again, as I said, it's important to probably have an array of coping mechanisms that you can use depending on the situation. There are things like stress balls and just basic stretching that can help you. But the fact of the matter is, stress is always going to be around, so we have to find ways to deal with it. And one of the ways that I have talked about, and this show is built around the idea of going into those things that are stressing you and calling them out as what they are, which is they are illusions. Some people like to use the term, the anagram for the word fear, false evidence appearing real. And some, don't find that particularly helpful. And that's understandable, because when these things appear, they don't seem false at all. They seem quite real. But to be able to go into them and look at them in a different way, as something that is an illusion, that is actually hiding from you the truth of what you really are and what's really going on and the growth that's happening for you, that's very empowering. And sometimes a little hard to do. But the more you do it, the more you take that energy away, the more you begin to understand. So, what is the stress response? Well, we've talked about that. In physiology, stress is anything that causes the body to respond by releasing stress hormones. So, any event that does that and triggers the fight or flight response is causing stress. So, the release of these hormones and the stress itself can cause a variety of symptoms, mental, behavioral, physical. It can make us tired. And so what happens when the body begins to respond to this stress, or the fight or flight response, it does so in many automatic ways. in order to maintain its temperature, uh, it will respond automatically to cold, heat, those kinds of things. And harmful stimulus can cause some of these stresses. So what you may experience in that response is a shutting down of the body in a way, so that the body can respond more quickly. But when this is done over and over, at times when it's not necessary, what it does is to actually damage the body. And we've talked about that previously on this show. So I will refer you to our past shows and not take up too much time here. And continue on with what we're talking about. Now here's a technique for total body relaxation that might be helpful for you. So let me bring this up here. Okay. Okay, we can't, alright, we don't have that right now. But let's talk about then some symptoms of stress that you may experience and what to do about them. So some of the symptoms of stress can actually be helpful. And there's a difference between chronic stress and acute stress response. When a physical danger occurs, the body needs the fight or flight response to survive. For example, if you step into the street and you see a car rushing toward you, the stress response allows you to have the strength and energy needed to leap out of the way. This is the acute stress response, an immediate, short-term, necessary response that allows the body to take quick action to respond to a threat. Now, psychological stress, particularly if it's chronic, can have a deleterious effect on the body. Because if the stress is prolonged and repeated and causes the sympathetic nervous system to activate over time, then you can begin to develop different types of diseases such as high blood pressure, the immune system can decrease its activity and begin to shut down in a way, so the body's resistance to infection is less than it would be if you have diabetes or pre-diabetic or anything of that nature. Then these symptoms of diabetes can be increased, and you can have worse symptoms of diabetes, and that can be damaging. So over time, when the body experiences the stress response but doesn't react physically in response to the danger, these negative effects begin to appear, and it's known as chronic stress. That's the bad kind of stress. The way the body behaves during the stress response is not meant to be normal, everyday body functioning. It's intended to be used to respond to danger or noxious physical stimuli. So the heart beats faster and prepares the body for physical exertion. Digestion and other functions of internal organs are slowed down so that most of the blood can be directed to the muscles, so that the physical danger can be avoided, and your body is ready to respond to it. But if there's no immediate danger present, nothing physical to respond to, then you might begin to feel tense and jittery, have trembling or an upset stomach. But eventually these symptoms will wear off. But the problem becomes when the stress response occurs over time and when stress is chronic. Lasting stress starts to interfere with the way the body is meant to function. That's when the physical symptoms of stress begin. So you may have some symptoms such as headaches, neck or back pain, digestive problems, changes in appetite, changes in sleeping, shaking or trembling, muscle cramps or tension, feelings of hopelessness, irritability, and anger are common stress symptoms. There's also behavioral symptoms like isolating oneself. So there's many types of symptoms that people can experience over time that can be harmful if not, dealt with. So, along with stress comes anxiety, and they can have similar symptoms, but they are not exactly the same thing. Now, here's an example that they give, which is kind of interesting. So picture yourself walking along on the sidewalk, enjoying the nice sunny weather, and you're about to cross a street. You go to the corner and step off the curb, and suddenly a car comes rushing towards you. Well, we've used that one. And your heart races, your breathing rate increases, you jump out of the way to safety, but you're shaking and your palms are sweaty and your knees feel weak and your heart is pounding and you're breathing heavily. And you resume your walk, and slowly everything begins to return to normal again. And the next day you're out for a walk, and you're enjoying the beautiful day, and as you step out to cross the street, you begin to experience a great sense of fear, pounding heart, trembling. You might feel dizzy, you might have a dry mouth. So let's consider what is going on in this scenario, looking at stress, fear, and anxiety. So the car rushing towards you is an event that causes stress. That's the stressor. And your heart rate races and your breathing rate increases and you jump out of the way. That's your stress response. You're shaking and palmy, sort of sweating, and that's you coming down from the stress hormones. And then you resume your walk. And seem to return to normal. But now, the next day when you go for that walk, you experience the fear. And that is anxiety. Anxiety is where the body experiences all the symptoms of fear, but there's no real danger. So there is a link between stress and fear and anxiety. You feel fear in response to danger, and you also stress. But later on, you will experience anxiety when you have all the symptoms as you do when you're afraid, but there's the danger isn't there. It's just in your awareness or memory, if you will. So here are the three sort of definitions that we're talking about: fear, anxiety, and stress. And stress is the body's response to danger. Anxiety is a feeling of doom,